Coming up now on Animal Outtakes, I get to work. We're getting up close and a little personal with something that slithers.
Well, this is very daunting, so what are we going to do with this?
And I put my brave face on for Dominic, an American crocodile with a penchant for snacks. Plus, we put our thinking caps on. Will Thomas comes to Donte's den to teach us all about dog whispering.
Usually when dogs are off balance, when they're not getting all the things they need, then they act differently.
This and much more straight ahead on Animal Outtakes. In times like these, much is seen through a screen of a phone, a tablet, or television. But it's just not the same as seeing something in person, hearing it with your own ears, and even sensing it with your touch. So we took a trip to Sarasota's Jungle Gardens in search of those kind of interactions. And we were not disappointed. Although I may have been a little bit intimidated of just how close we could get. Meet Dominic. He's an American crocodile. It's estimated he's around 30 years old and just under 300 pounds.
John, no doubt this is the piece de resistance here at Jungle Gardens. This is Dominic.
Yes, so Dominic is a male American crocodile, and they're actually found here in South Florida. And what unique thing about the species too is that they're actually found with alligators. And Florida's very unique, it's one of the few ecosystems, well, actually the only ecosystem that you can find both American alligators and the American crocodile together.
Now Flavio over there is playing hide and seek.
Flavio is playing peekaboo, but he's also serving a purpose as my spotter to make sure, and he's actually has way more croc experience than I do, so I'm much more of a snake eye and a vertebrate eye. So I'm actually kind of learning from Flavio.
Dominic singles out certain people and likes to toy with them. And you know, and it just depends on, you don't know who it is, but he likes to play. He really enjoys playing.
We actually have we work with the animal back and forth, so me being in here is part of what's called desensitizing him to our presence, stuff like that. The more exercise that we do like this, the safer it is to work around the animal, the safer it is to be with the animal.
Okay, so what does he do other than just enjoy his life?
So they're not exactly a very active species. They're almost what you would consider sedentary in a sense. So pretty much these guys, we do working back and forth. So they don't want to move. They kind of get fed, they kind of stay in one area. So one of the things we try to do here is to get him to move here and back and forth and get exercise with him.
Well, I think he's coming.
Yeah.
Which meant it was my turn to feed him. After the biscuits came the chicken. Feeding Dominic is an important opportunity that they take each day to interact with the giant croc.
So the more we work with the animal in this manner, it's easier for us to work them, easier for us to move them. It also minimizes stress. So the old mentality years ago, jumping on them, pulling on ropes, not needed anymore. So through training, it makes your life easier and makes their life easier as well.
Sarasota Jungle Gardens is home to more than 200 native and exotic animals, including birds of prey, parrots and primates, small mammals, snakes, lizards, iguanas, alligators, crocodiles, and other reptiles, many of them rescued or donated.
Our keepers are eager to tell you all those gory, boring details that no one else wants to hear sometimes. So if you really want to know details, ask the keepers. You're not going to get that much information on our signage because we want you to interact with us as much as we want to interact with you, and we want the animals to do the same.
As if I didn't get enough excitement feeding the massive crocodile, we went behind the scenes to a highly secured holding area. And they put me to work again.
So we have Daisy here, and Daisy is actually the largest snake that we have here in our facility, and she is a reticulated python. They are found in Asia. Now this is the longest snake by length, but not the heaviest snake species in the world. and they get the name reticulated from their pattern. So we're actually going to go in here. I'm going to have you help me with some training. Is that okay?
Well, I'll do my very best, and here's the hook.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and unlock this. When I unlock this, Marcia, we're going to go back into that training technique of basically letting her know it's not feeding time. So when I open this door, I'm going to have you take that hook and just gently rubber with it as you would rubber with your hand.
The back?
The back, the side, whatever part you feel comfortable with. So it's completely up to you. And this is her cue to let her know that no, it's not feeding time, that we're going to actually go in and work you and handle you. Okay?
She's looking.
Okay, so I'm about to open this, and as soon as I open this, you're going to go ahead and you're just going to take that, and you're just going to rub her backside with that, and that's going to let her know, yep, just like that, let her know it's not feeding time. There you go. And you can actually see how her demeanor is already calmed down. So she went from being inquisitive to kind of being very relaxed. And that's why, because she originally thought it might have been feeding time, but this is her cue.
No, honey, this is not feeding time.
Correct.
This is playing time. Okay, she's kind of sniffing around.
Right, and actually what we'll do too, if you want, I have two of my zookeepers here on standby. We'll go ahead and bring them into the shot if you like.
Okay.
And that way we can actually go in here. You can get an idea to scale how big this animal actually is, because it's kind of hard on camera.
There you go.
Okay, so this is kind of an idea how big the snake actually is for you guys. So in the enclosure, we say that she's 16 foot, 135 pounds, but until you're actually in here working with this animal, you really don't understand. So another reason why too in Florida that they're regulated is that you can see this animal is not that easy to handle. This is the animal that you really need to know what you're doing and have your hours of experience and stuff like that. And what she's doing right now, she's just being really squirmy. She's not being aggressive. She wants to explore. And you guys can kind of...
She is something.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
And what makes them so cool too, if you can notice, you can see the iridescence. You can see the muscle contractions as she moves. I mean, these things are just solid muscle.
Is it safe and is it good to keep a snake like this, of these dimensions, in a holding tank?
So it is safe, and the reason why it's safe is short term. It's not a long-term enclosure, it's a short-term enclosure. Unfortunately, a lot of people in the industry actually keep them in animals this size in smaller enclosures. Our enclosures, even back here in holding, exceed regulations by Florida Fish and Wildlife. And that's our goal. We never want to meet expectations, we want to always beat expectations. So in about a month or so, the actual exhibit will be open, and that exhibit is actually triple the amount of space for each snake. It's actually climate control, and it's a bioactive exhibit as well, too, for each animal.
Well, she is really something. And now she's relaxed. She got her inquisitiveness out, and she's relaxed.
Staff here are hoping to inspire future generations to care about these animals enough to make a difference.
Not the fear, understanding, appreciation, respect for the animals, and that's more important than anything else. We believe that everything should have a purpose, and everything does have a purpose. So through conservation, it's not just the big stuff, it's the little stuff. It starts off at the microbial level, works all the way up to the giant animals.
Flavio, this has been a spectacular day here at Jungle Gardens in Sarasota, and it's thanks to you and your wonderful staff. So many things have changed, and we talked to you about a zoo, and you said, oh no, it's much better than that.
Yeah, I don't want to be called a zoo, and I don't want to be in reference to a zoo, and I keep saying the word I don't think we want to be a zoo. We want to be an interactive animal experience here. Our mission is about unmatched customer service with interactions and preservation, and with that in mind. So in order to do that, you're going to have to start influencing the new generation, because they're going to be the next one. So let's give them some interactions, create some memories, so they will be inspired to do this when they get older and do something about the problems now.
I'm still thinking about what it was like to be that close to those large creatures. And it wouldn't be a trip to Jungle Gardens without a visit with Rosco. At more than 60 years old, this tortoise will keep you on your toes.
Rosco is one of our Aldabra tortoises, a super impressive species. Now Rosco here is actually about 60 to 70 years old, somewhere right in that range. And that's kind of middle age for these guys. So a lot of people know turtles and tortoises can live for quite a long time. The Aldabra tortoise on average lives about 80 to 120 years. However, the oldest one ever was estimated to be over 250 when it passed away. So definitely a super impressive lifespan. Now, Rosco's story here is actually a little bit of a sad one. He is a rescue. He actually came from a roadside attraction. Back in the 80s, he was rescued. Unfortunately, he wasn't treated super well there. They would allow kids to ride him, and that unfortunately did a little bit of damage to his shell. But now that he's here with us, he's happy, he's healthy, no more riding him, and he's gonna live a long, awesome life with us. Hey, bud. Good boy. And one thing these guys really love is neck scratches. Of course, you see those big feet that they have, they can't scratch their own necks. So anytime you get in here and give them a little rub down, they really appreciate it. Very awesome.
How tall is he?
Now, these guys could actually reach a little over 3 feet tall, and they can extend their neck a lot more too. So in the wild, like I mentioned, they're herbivores. They eat a lot of things off of trees. So they like to raise that neck up and get low-hanging fruits and some other really tasty foods that are close enough for them. So when they extend that neck, absolutely, they're pretty tall. They really don't have natural predators besides humans. Humans are the biggest source of predation for them. However, in their native habitat, they are now protected. So of course it is illegal to hunt these guys. Unfortunately, in the early 1900s, we almost completely lost this species from the face of the earth due to overhunting and things like that, other human interactions with them.
And how are they now?
Now their populations are pretty strong. They are still considered vulnerable or threatened in the wild, but they do have somewhere between 100,000 to 150,000 individuals left in the wild. So definitely good numbers, a lot more so than the Galapagos tortoises, which are very similar to these guys. Not the quickest, but they'll surprise you. If you stop paying attention to where they're at, they'll sneak up on you real fast. You don't get many chances to get up close and personal with such amazing giants.
Coming up next, we're talking bad behavior, and we will introduce you to a dog whisperer who has what it takes to balance your pup. There's more after the break. Donte's Den is the perfect boarding solution for your dog. Donte's offers the convenience, amenities, and overall luxury your pet is seeking. Call us at 941-219-3730. Welcome back. Here at Donte's Den, we've seen it all. Dogs come to us from all walks of life, and a few may have picked up some bad habits along the way. So we've brought in Will Thomas, a dog whisperer, and we wanted to see what his method of training is all about. Will, as we came into the room, I thought maybe I should be whispering to you. I'm sure you get that a lot.
Yes, I do. They think I'm not going to say anything, but I have to talk to you so you can understand.
What is the definition of a dog whisperer?
Basically a canine behaviorist, somebody who can assess what's going on with an animal and get it fixed, and usually when dogs are off balance, when they're not getting all the things they need, then they act differently. And so dog whisperer goes in and figures out what it is they're missing, and when we fulfill that need, the dog turns into a little different animal. And at that point, people can gain control and trust and respect.
Now, when you say get them into balance, how are you going to determine that? I mean, if you have an aggressive dog, well, obviously something is out of balance. Do you determine what it is that has put that dog in aggression, or do you just start treating?
Just start. Basically, dogs need, part of balance is hierarchy, and once they understand who's actually running their life, the humans in their life ideally, then they start to take it down a notch and they defer to the humans for direction. So if a dog's aggressive, for instance, and he always chases bicycles, I want him to slow down and check with you first. So when we get that going on, then he stops. But for right now, if the dog's making that decision to charge at a bicycle, that's his decision. Why is he making decisions? Because he's not deferring to you. So when he gets balanced in his little head and figures out how he fits in, oh, I get it, you're in charge of me. Well, I can relax now. So that's what I want to have happen. These dogs have aha moments in their session where they, oh, I get it. And humans do too. Oh, wow, look, he's doing what I want him to do. But it's because all of a sudden the dog sees a human in a little different light.
You talk about a session. How long is a session?
When I work with clients, it's usually about 3 hours.
That's it?
Yep. And
to solve all the problems?
Yep, and they only need to see you
Well,
once.
you are a miracle worker, dog miracle worker.
A lot of people have said that. But it's really, once you have the right data, like we have the higher intellect. We're smarter than our dogs. So if we know the
Oh, sometimes. Sometimes.
Trust me, we are. And we've got thumbs, and we've got a broad vocabulary. We can study and learn all kinds of stuff in a real intellectual way. Dogs are not intellectual. They just act and react. And they're looking for, most dogs are like a tour group at Disneyland. They're looking for the lady with the flag, who we're supposed to be following. And if that's not you, they're going to be one of them. And they're animals. When I work with dogs, I address them first as an animal, second as a dog, third as the breed, and last is your list of issues. And when we work with the dog at the animal dog level, it's silent, it's quiet, it's instinctual, they get it right away. And then all the other issues start to dissipate because they're balanced and they're happy and they understand what's going on in their life now.
How did you figure this out?
Study, a lot of time with dogs. Dogs, most animals feel your energy, and dogs feel your energy as either strong or weak. And when they feel weak energy, they make the next decision. It's like a binary system for the computer. Ones and zeros mean on and off. Computer doesn't care why, but it'll act accordingly. So with dogs, they feel energy as strong or weak. And when they feel weak energy, they make the next decision. So he really needs to see the human as a cool, calm, confident individual. And that's what I teach.
Easier said than done.
Well, I've got a gradient approach to get the people on board with being 5 things. If you can show a dog these 5 things, I teach people to be calm, consistent, assertive, persistent, and patient. And when you can do those 5 things better than a dog, the dog will think you're better than them.
When we come back, we head outside to put some of these tips to the test. Stick with us.
Will, we have seen utter chaos here this morning, and we're all told we should be walking our dogs. Well, that is easier said than done, because as we start to walk them, they are way far ahead of us. Our arms are being pulled out of the sockets. How do we make this work?
It's really actually pretty easy. I've got a drill called hands-free drill. You tie the dog around your waist, put him on a martingale collar. It's a nice, easy collar, doesn't hurt the dog, but he can't slip away from you. Then you circle trees. And that's what you'll see our people doing, is they're just gonna be circling trees with the dog tied around their waist. So, folks, the idea is, this is called hands-free training, or this is actually called hands-free drill. This is how I teach people to have their dogs walk behind them on a loose leash with no commands or hand signals. You don't even really have to touch the leash unless the dog gets ahead of you or gets tangled. Just walk up to a tree and circle it. And if you approach the tree, approach so the dog's on the outside, and then just make a circle and head to the next tree. The idea is when you make your circle around a tree, If the dog's not paying attention, he's going to have to follow you, and he'll go, oh, I got to follow you. So you're not going to be correcting your dog for not following you, but you're going to just be circling trees, and he's going to figure out I should follow you so I don't bump my head. And in a few minutes, he'll be following you on a loose leash with no commands. You'll hardly have to touch the leash. And you don't talk to your dog, just assume he's following you. See, just when the dog's getting ahead, she's making her circle, the dog gets his own little correction, head to the next tree. Now circle that tree. Full circle, keep circling. Circle, circle, circle. Beautiful. Now go to the big tree there. Beautiful. Do a full circle, Maddie. Circle, circle, circle. There you go. See how the dog's following her so nice? See, the dogs are too paying attention to you guys. They don't care about each other.
But you know, the first couple of times I can see the owners being smacked into those trunks
That's what the trees are for.
to stop it,
Keeps
right?
you in motion,
Yeah.
yep. And if you have to, you can hold on to a tree for stability. At home, people can pull their trash cans and recycling bins out in the driveway and in their front yard and just make circles. And you do that for 20, 30 minutes, the dog starts to follow you. And you'll see that right here today, and in our following segments, you're gonna see the dogs start to follow their owners because they've just done these simple things.
And they respect you for that.
Yeah, whoever's butt a dog sees the most is the leader. And you'll see as these dogs are circling the trees, they're looking to make sure they don't bang their head in a tree. They're looking up at their owner's butt, where are we going? And that's what's missing in most people's walks, is the dog isn't looking for where are we gonna go, they're telling the owners where we are gonna go. So we wanna reverse that. We just want the dog to defer to the human, and this starts it off. No hands, dog's just following her, looking up to her. That's what this technique brings about. Usually I have people do this 2 weeks around the trees in front of their house, instead of walking. Circle, circle, circle.
Okay.
Before you know it, dogs follow you like that wherever you go.
I have to admit, I wasn't sure how we were going to get those dogs to walk properly, but Will was able to make it happen. For more information, you can log on to willthomasdogwhisperer.com. Welcome back! We know goats are among some of the earliest animals domesticated by humans. But did you know these curious creatures can also help out lemurs? Let's take a look.
This is where we started. This was their first area, this stretch here. And then we moved them over to behind the lemur house.
Now, how much can they eat, and how long did it take them to clean this up?
Not counting the rain days, it took them about 4 days to blow through this.
Wow.
If they had been in it constantly without coming in from rain and thunderstorms and that type of thing.
And it's so great for our forest in general because this is Florida old forest and it's actually very valuable forest in this area. So all of the birds, all of the insects, all of the creatures that share this forest are also benefited by the fact that it's no longer going to be a fire hazard with all this overgrown underbrush.
Why goats?
Why not goats? You know? They're quiet, they're effective, they're eco-friendly, very green, very adorable. So,
And they eat anything
and they
inside.
eat pretty much everything that they are, yeah, there's some things they can't eat. We have to check the area to make sure there's nothing toxic for them first. But other than that, vines, weeds, underbrush, they eat all of it. For every 2 or 3 days of work that they do, I come in behind them and do a couple hours, clean up, cut down the vines, pull them out of the trees if I can, because they love the viney stuff.
Yeah.
It's very quiet. We don't have to worry about gas guzzling machinery and people coming in here and taking out more than they need to. The goats just eat what they can reach, so it leaves a very valuable mid-level and high-level branching and trees for our lemurs to enjoy once they're able to come back out into the forest. So it leaves all of the really nice growth that we like to see and that the lemurs like to play in, while also reducing the fire hazard.
Sure.
We actually do prescribed burns. We did one in the forest we were just at over there, where the forestry department comes out, the fire department comes out, and they do a controlled burn in the area. It's really healthy for the forest, it keeps the underbrush down, and then that regrowth is really great for the forest. We wanted to do the same thing over here, however it was too overgrown and the fire would get too high and would burn too hot too fast to be controllable. So in order to get this forest safe enough to do regular controlled burns, we would have to clear out this underbrush first. We can have up to 3 groups of, 3 different species of lemur cohabitating in here. Right now, they're over at our other building in our other forests while we're doing maintenance in this forest. Historically, we actually had goats way back when the Lemur Conservation Foundation started. And the lemurs and the goats were together. However, one of the lemurs became very fond of the goats and would actually ride the goat and became very protective of the goat. And once the goats figured out that they could go through the enclosures, through the doggy doors, into the lemur enclosures, that's when they decided, okay, maybe the lemurs and the goats should not be in contact with each other.
You can't stop romance.
You can't. But we really like this setup because there is the electro net that Rent-A-Roomit puts up, and it really concentrates their work into one area. If we had them loose in this whole forest, it would take them a really long time because they'd be all over the place, whereas they're making really efficient work when they have a specific area to focus on.
We hope you've had fun and you learned a thing or two along the way. We'll be back here again next week with some more animals and some wild adventures. Until then, thanks for watching.
You want a napkin?
Coming up next, I can't see it. Okay. Welcome back. We know. Wait, I was glad I got